Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bookmakers TV. This is the Premier League preview show. I am Gav from the LFC Day Trippers, and I'm delighted to be joined by Kevin at Clutch FIFA on Twitter, James at JSMHD44, Man City fan, and at Wayman Joe, the Leeds fan, to discuss the Premier League and what's going on this week, what's coming up this weekend, and just anything in between. If you're in the comments, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to, and leave some comments in there as well. So when we get some comments, we'll put them up on screen and we'll ask some questions. Lads, you're all very, very welcome this evening. We're going to bash through this in about 40 to 45 minutes. We're going to talk about leagues, we're going to talk about cups, top four, relegation battles, new managers, whatever it might be that will come up in the next 40 to 45 minutes. Kevin, I'm going to come to you first if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Manchester United won the League Cup at the weekend, beating Newcastle in the final at Wembley. They get through the FA Cup during the week. They're flying at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a real almost little flow state going on where we're not, but it feels like we're kind of a bit unbeatable. Obviously, Barcelona twice coming back from 1-0 down. We go through there. West Ham 1-0 down, make a 3-goal comeback in the last 15. And obviously the League Cup final. I don't think we're actually probably playing the best football we have played this year so far. But it just, the momentum's going. I think Newcastle, like in the League Cup, I think, we really kind of didn't play our greatest. We defended. Newcastle had quite a fair bit of the ball, but we took our chances. Newcastle gave us a few, and we took them just like we kind of have been with everyone else. I think obviously people like Casemiro have just stepped up massively this year, and I think we've had 4 or 5 like truly incredible players, and then everyone else has really kind of got behind them and really kind of carried the rest of the load. So yeah, no, it's been a really good start for us.
Yeah. With Ten Hag, I think I've watched them quite a bit. And with Ten Hag, I don't think they're playing amazing football. I think they're punishing teams very well. I will say that. Rashford is in a rich vein of form since January, and the thing for me is when I'm watching them is they're winning battles. I've said this on our own show, but they're winning personal battles on the pitch. You know, we're winning second balls. They're intent. They're well organised, but they're intense in what they're doing. Whereas in years gone by, it would drop off. They would lose personal battles. They would, you know, to be open enough and people will punish them. And I think there's a bit of a reversal there. You might see a little bit of an evolution in United over the next, well, you will in the next 12 to 18 months, where they try to be more Manchester United, I suppose, where they dominate more games and stuff like that. But so far, it's been really good for Ten Hag. Joe, you're no Manchester United fan. We know this.
No.
But how big is, like, and I say this without people jumping on me going, "Oh, it's the League Cup," because it's a trophy. How big is the League Cup win for the likes of Manchester United? And I mean that because I've seen Chelsea over the years win a League Cup and springboard. I've seen Man City have probably done it as well. Use the League Cup to springboard themselves onto bigger things. Is this an ominous sign for others around Manchester United? That, yeah, maybe people would say it's only the League Cup, but it's being used so many times to help teams progress and give them the confidence to go on and win bigger and better things, I suppose.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it is, mate. For me, it's pretty painful at the minute, because Eric Ten Hag is the man. It seems he can't do no wrong at the minute, and I think, like you said, getting that first trophy over the line is massive. I thought they were going to get knocked out of the FA Cup, even when they're not playing well. They end up winning that game 3-1 in the end, don't they? So, I think he has the potential, with the right backing, to bring Man United back to that sort of dynasty era kind of vibe. You know what I mean? They're gonna be challenging for me, Gav, and I think, coupled with the fact that they're getting linked with getting bought out as well, which also causes me a lot of pain, because I said to my friend the other day, I was like, oh no, I've got to deal with them being back as well, coupled with the fact that we're in a relegation dogfight. It's not great, but they've spent money, though. I know Pep had a go at them the other day, a bit tongue in cheek, but they have spent money, and I think the thing that I sort of like that really gets me is when they're spending this money, Gav. There's no green and gold about the gaff anymore, is it? You know what I mean? That's all I'll say about about Man United. There's no green and gold when they're winning things. But it is a bit ominous, mate, if I'm being totally honest. But I suppose from a Premier League perspective, the next few seasons are going to be very exciting. Challenging. You're going to have City, Liverpool will probably come back. Man United are well in the mix now. Todd Bowley's on a mad one, but eventually, if you throw enough cash at it, you are going to. If you throw enough shit at the wall, it's going to stick kind of vibe, and that will happen at some point. Whether that's with Potter or not, but yeah, I suppose the Premier League's going to be exciting. I know I've gone off on a tangent. I do tend to do that, mate. Sorry, but
away, Joe.
Yeah, Man United. It's not great for me to see them doing well again, unfortunately.
Could be worse, Joe. Frank Lampard could be knocking around the gaff, and I know you don't like him either.
He's done now, isn't he? He's
done
now.
Well, I hope he reappears somewhere just to upset you, to be honest. But James, you're a Manchester City fan, so you're in same City. City have ruled the roost for many years now, and we could say honestly many years. Well, not many, I suppose. The last 7-8 years, definitely they've ruled the roost in that city. And when you see what's going on at United, do you see they're just organised? They spend loads of money, but loads of teams spend loads of money. They're organised. They seem to have a manager that knows what he wants to do. Is able to get it out of these players, because there's not many different players there when you think about it, and they all seem to have bought into it, because even when you go back to the likes of Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, no matter whether you thought they were good, bad or indifferent, you always felt like there was a part of that squad that just didn't buy in, whether that would have been a Ronaldo or a Pogba or a Rooney or whoever it would have been over the years. This seems like, apart from the football, it just seems tightly knit. That's what it looks like from the outside.
Well, definitely. Like, you look at it from our point of view, Leeds' point of view, anyone but Man United, they look that they're back, really. Let's put it like that, because he's captured the dressing room. The team morale is just different. Like, you look at Mourinho, Solskjaer, there was just too many arrogant personnel there. Pogba, Lingard. I still don't rate Martial. I think he's a bit of he'll move on. But he's captured the dressing room. Rashford has turned into just something unbelievable, and it's good for England, but not good for all the Premier League teams. But the team morale on the pitch, like, every time that they make a good tackle, they're turning to the fans and getting them up. You wouldn't have seen that 2 years ago. So he's took the dressing room by the knit, and he's got something good going on there, and they've already got the silverware. It's exciting times for them, to be fair.
Do you know, can I just jump in, Gav, as well? And I hate to give so many positives for him, but even Casemiro, for example, having a go at Bruno Fernandes after he didn't pass the ball in the final after they'd already won. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, that's that elite mentality. And I think what's quite ominous, and I said this on many of my Premier League shows, if Ferguson was still at Man United, Harry Kane would have been a Man United player about 6 seasons ago. He'd have not messed about. He'd have gone and got him. And I do think, now that City have got Haaland, that we could see Harry Kane being the final piece of the jigsaw at Man United in the summer. I think if they went all out for him, I think that would really, really sort of maybe complete them. Because Weghorst is doing a job, but he's not long-term, is he?
No, he's not the man to do the job.
No. Yeah, exactly.
He's more of a placeholder that's really working hard.
Exactly.
I'd love to have Harry Kane. I actually just think it's a point. I think he may just commit to Spurs.
Do you think
it'll be this summer? He'll fully commit to Spurs, and it'll be a legacy thing like they did with Shearer, and he'll go down as one of the great Spurs players, or he'll move and say whatever. But I'd love him. I think if we get him and then one top midfielder, I think we'll be really getting on people's backs and scaring them. So Kane would be incredible.
I think it has all the ingredients to be an unbelievable season in the Premier League next season, because I'm of the opinion Liverpool will definitely be back next season without a shadow of a doubt. I think City, although they probably could, I don't know if you still make them favourites to win the league. I don't. I think Arsenal are heavy favourites to win the league now. But City, for me, just the noises coming out of them with a couple of things Guardiola said over the last couple of weeks are definitely going to reinforce and ready for next season. I don't think Arsenal will go anywhere, because I think if they were to win a league, a lot of them players will want to stay and they'll attract a couple more. United are definitely looking like they're on the rise, and I think if you look at that, Chelsea like Joe said, you throw enough money at it, and something usually comes out of it. I think you could have an unbelievable season in the Premier League next season, where right now there's 3 probably in it right now, and it'll probably end up being 2 over the next 5 or 6 games. But I think you could probably have 3, if not 4, in it till this stage next season, if not further in, because we talk about the league so much about, you know, Liverpool and City have done things over the last couple of years that were ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. You know, I know Chelsea have done 100 points years ago, but 2 teams going at it in 99 and 97 points, then one puts up another mad, Liverpool put up 99 and switched off for 7 games at the end. City go and do another mad season last season and do Liverpool by a point. It was always 2. You know, I think this has the ingredients to be 3 or 4 next season. I genuinely do. Just because I think teams that drop off and teams that have risen, I think what's going to happen is the teams that have risen are going to go a bit more. The teams that have dropped off are going to rise again, and I think they're going to clash. It's going to be a perfect storm somewhere in the Premier League. And the Premier League will love it, and Sky and BT and all will love it, because it just feels to me like everyone's just going to go bang, and it's going to really go off in the Premier League next season. But just touching on Man City, and James, I'll stay with you. You know, a bit patchy for Man City standards. 5 points behind Arsenal. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same amount of games played?
Yes.
Yeah.
After last night, yeah.
Yeah, so 13 games left, I think. Would I be right in saying?
Yeah.
14, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
13.
13.
Where do you see them at the moment? Because it always looks to me like they get ahead of steam up here and then they draw it first. They get ahead of steam up, and it just... Does it feel like something is going to click with Man City and they're just going to go all out here? Or do you think this European Cup's going to arrive in here now? Has arrived already, I suppose, but that distraction's going to arrive. Do City take their eye off the ball and do Arsenal go away? Or do you think, no, they're still in this, they're massively still in this?
I don't think Arsenal will go away. Like, every time I watch Arsenal was like watching Liverpool last season, just not as good. They're still winning games, they're still grinding out results, and they're playing good football. But 5 points ahead, you either see it from one of 2 ways. You see it as Arsenal have got to go to Anfield, a place that they never win. Arsenal have got to come to the Etihad, that's a 6-pointer, a place that they never win. Arsenal have got to go to Newcastle, another place that they never win. Or you see it as Arsenal look unbelievable right now. When's the next draw for City, because we're inconsistent? You look at that Nottingham Forest result, we should have won that game. Like, and the amount of chances that we had, Haaland missing an open net from a yard out. It's just, and then the Leipzig game as well. It's just a bit of inconsistency. And then the game against Villa at the Etihad, we slapped them in the first half, 3-0 up. We was like, right, how many are we going to get? And then we let them back in the second half, took our foot off the gas. I know we still won the game, but the second half was terrible. So it's one of 2 ways. I look at it as Arsenal going to be there or thereabouts, and it's just how many points they drop and how many points we pick up. We've got to win that game at the Etihad against them. That brings it to 2. And then another draw for them somewhere, and we win. Then it's even. So it's going to be close.
Yeah.
Don't rule United out either.
No, I've wanted to go around the table and ask this, because United sit 8 points behind Arsenal with the same amount of games played. Am I right?
No, it's 11.
11 with a game in hand.
You got a game in hand.
Yeah,
game in hand.
Yeah. So it will be 8, all things being equal. Well, I'm not allowing it to be 8 after this Sunday, I'm going to be honest with you. It can be 8 at some other day. But, I think this is what I'm saying. I think there's 3 teams in it. 8 points is nothing in this league. If you go back to 2011-12 when City won the league, wasn't it? And they're 8 points behind United with 6 games to go and win it on goals scored or goal difference or whatever it ended up being. 8 points is nothing, but I feel that 3 might become 2. And I'm not saying it United that drops out. United could go and win the next 4 and City could draw 2 of those, and you're going, City are behind United now and we're down to 9 games left. So, Joe, I'll ask you all, but I'll start with you, Joe.
Yeah.
3 teams still in this title race?
It's all this weekend. Man United have got to beat Liverpool. If they beat Liverpool, then maybe. I still think they're not, but it's such a massive game at the weekend. I think I can see a score draw, and I don't think a draw's enough. They've got to win as many as possible starting at the weekend, and I just don't think they will. they're flying. Rashford's going to score. That goes without saying. I still see it being a score draw, though. I'm keeping Salah in my fantasy team as well because he loves a goal against Man United as well, right, Gav? He always likes a goal. Yeah. So I could see both
More
Rashford
so at
and
Old
Salah.
Trafford, though.
Right, okay.
He's got a couple of Anfield against them. But
Yeah.
Pops up with one at Anfield now and then, like that goal which Alisson threw out all the way to him to wrap it up.
Yeah. So. I would say it's too hot. It's a 2-horse race, and I was on the Trippers a few weeks back, and I said City would still win it. However, that my opinion's changed on that now. I think Arsenal I think they're going to do it, and I don't mind it. I'd like to see someone new win it, and I love Saka.
So it's so
Kevin,
annoying.
I have a long-standing prediction that either Saka or Martinelli become Man City players in the summer, but that's just something in my own head. I just have this thing where I think City will look to pick up a player from the Premier League in a wide position, i.e. what he done with Sterling. And I think Mahrez will go, and I think he'll probably. I think they'll make massive moves for Saka, in particular, in the summer. And I know people say, "Oh, is he signing a deal?" And didn't Martinelli? They don't matter anymore. If you give enough money, the contracts they're not worth the money they're written or the paper they're written on. So, Kevin, I'm gonna have to put you on the spot. Are United in the title race?
No, I'm distancing myself from that as far away as I can. I listen. I like to dream of that. That sounds nice. I just think that's not where we're even focusing. Really, I think for us it's about guarantee getting top 4. Our first trophy was on the board. I think they would have been the 2 objectives starting this season. Would have been we can win a trophy and get top 4. Now listen, we're in a great position. We're comfy. I think we're 8 or 10 points clear of top 4 right now. Like I think we're pretty chilling. So I'd love to be in the title race. I just personally don't think we are. I think there's just too many big games coming up, and I think Arsenal and City will be too good. Like I think with City, City have been playing pretty well, to be honest. I think Forest they could have won that game 5-0, and it wouldn't have surprised me with how well they played. I think generally the last 3 weeks to a month, I think they've played far better than they had been all year. I just think the goals haven't gone in. Now I think that's probably just due to a bit of a lack of pace down in the wings. I think their wide areas are short. I think there's a lot of players that want to cut in and play narrow compared to when it was like the year when they had Sterling, Sane bombing. I think that was the best City I saw. So I think City will come good. I think 5 points is absolutely nothing. Like we saw, I think Arsenal drop. Was it like 9 or 10 points in 6 games in their last 6 before Villa and Everton? So 5 points is absolutely nothing, and they've still got to go to the Etihad, and there's still quite a few big games for Arsenal left. And I saw an interesting thing from Gary Neville. He was saying that at the moment, every game for Arsenal feels like a cup final, and he said the emotional drag on those players after each one of them will take its toll eventually. And I think he could be right. So we'll see. But I think City is still going to win it. As much as I'd rather Arsenal win it.
Yeah, I know, but don't pay too much attention to Gary Neville because he's a closet Man City fan because he wants Manchester United to be Manchester City. James, 3 teams in at the moment. Do you still look at Arsenal and City?
Yeah, I say 3. I think you can't rule out United. If they win on Sunday, they've come into this 2 weeks and just absolutely smashed it out of the park. They've gone to Barcelona away, where they've literally not lost a game since going out of the Champions League. They drew. They've taken Barcelona back at home, won it in dramatic circumstances. And then you got the League Cup final. They've won that. They've won in the FA Cup. 2 goals in added time, show great character. And then if they go away to Anfield and win that and still don't tell themselves that they're in the title race, I don't see it. I think they are. They're just on form. But like we all know, 3 points, 5 points, 8 points. It's not a lot. If United don't keep up with the race, they will fall off. And because they're already behind, the pressure's on them to make up the gap.
Yeah, I think if I'm United, I'm actually not. Usually, you would focus on who's first, and you think, how close can I get? But I think United should be absolutely just eyeing up City and saying, right, how close can we get to City? And if Arsenal stumble, we're ready to attack it as much as City are. And I'm not saying United are the best team in the league. I don't even think, I don't know where I'd rank them in rating those teams in the league at the moment. But there's always a time where somebody comes from somewhere and you kind of go, they're just on the crest of a wave. And it's just going to keep going. Reminds me a lot of Liverpool in 13-14 under Brendan Rodgers, when it was just every week was madness. And it was like, how is this happening? But it does happen. And a new manager, it's fresh, they've all bought into it, they're on a good run of form, they're in competitions, and you just kept going, unfortunately, the European Cup final, but it just keeps going, and it's nearly something that's unstoppable when it gets a bit ahead of steam, regardless of how good you think the side is. It's just the momentum that's there. Momentum is massive in football, but I think there's still 3 in it. I think if United look at City and say, right, in 6 games' time, if we're level with City, the chances are we might be closer to Arsenal than we were 6 games ago. And that's where you look at it and you're taking those batch. And of course, City have the European Cup that they're going for. Arsenal are still in the Europa League, aren't they? And so are United. So there's going to be distractions everywhere for those. And they'll get into if they get into the latter rounds, they'll want to win those competitions. Although if I was Arsenal, I would genuinely write a letter to UEFA and say, listen, we want no part of the Europa League. We want no part of it. We're sending the other 14s. Sorry about that. Maybe another time, and go and try win the league. But
I just think we're too far off. I just think 11 points, way too much to make up.
And well, it's 11 points with a game in hand. Now,
it is, I'll take points on the board every day over games in hand. And
yeah, I know that, but
there's a lot of games that we could drop points on. We've still got 14 games left. We've got to make up 11 points and then not drop any more points. So it's like, I just think there's too big of a gap to make. We're not going to win every game this year, and I just think we're just a bit too. If we'd have been maybe 8 to 6 off with a game in hand, I'd have been okay. We've got
you need a bit more of a striking distance.
I just think we're just a bit too far off. I think we could nip City, because I think City will probably go for the league, like the Champions League. Sorry, and I think if they kind of drift further away from Arsenal as they slowly kind of put their eyes on the Champions League, I think we could finish second. It really just depends on what everyone's real motives are, really.
Just quickly, before we move on to the other end of the table, James, the cup draw. We're into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, aren't we? And there's some teams that you wouldn't expect in there. But City's cup draw, are you happy with it?
Vinny K's coming home. Could not be happier. I can't wait to see him managing against Pep. So I'm buzzing. Very happy.
It's a good draw, home to Burnley. Burnley, of course, are flying in the Championship.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're. When I see Burnley top, I never look at who's second. I always look at who's third, because first and second get you up, and they're about 19 points clear of, if not more, clear of third place. So and there's only they're absolutely flying. So if it was really tight in the Championship, I'd expect Burnley to go there and probably drop a few players out and say, listen, this is none of our business, as great as it is. But he'll definitely go and have a go. Kev, United's cup draw, are you happy with theirs?
I think we could have had an easier draw. I think I'll take the home game, but Fulham are a team this year who, from the start, really, I looked at them and went, they're a lot better than people are giving them credit for. And them to be level on points with Liverpool, tied 6th, I think it is, like 7th is on goal difference, is an incredible achievement for them. And I think they're a team in great form. And I would have much rather Blackburn or Sheffield United, but I'll take the home fixture. We look pretty unbeatable at home, so I will take it. I'm reasonably happy, but we got a hard draw comparatively.
Leeds United got a point at Old Trafford and we're 2-0 up. That's all I'll say.
But I think if you did get, there's a couple of games in there where you're kind of going, oh, they're in the semi-final, and I think when you see teams like this in quarterfinals, it throws open the argument again about neutral grounds and not being Wembley for semi-finals. Grimsby are still in, aren't they? If Grimsby get to semi-final, right, they might bring a load to Wembley, but there's just something about, an Old Trafford semi-final or a Villa Park semi. They're just much better. So
For Brighton, man. Brighton in that FA Cup.
Well, that's one I'd love to see go all the way, because I think the way their club is ran, I think the way they bring players in and they move on and they bring other players in, and just, they're getting better all the time. I'd love to see them be rewarded in some way, but it might be a little bit tough for Brighton.
Ideal scenario, if who we think goes through is Man City, Man United one semi-final, and then Brighton versus a championship team in either Sheffield United and Blackburn, and then like you say, at least we get, because the last thing you want is the both Manchester clubs to dodge each other in the semis, which means they'll both get to the final, and it's just like I'd prefer, someone like a Brighton or even Sheffield United or a Blackburn, to get through, but. Yeah, they'll probably dodge the Man City, and it'll be a Man City Man United final, and
it'll be the heated up balls and all, won't there?
Yeah, exactly. You know
how it works, Joe.
I speak for me, but Kev, do you want that as well? Would you have a Manchester derby final?
Yeah.
You would have it.
Yeah.
What if you lost though?
I'd fancy it. I would. Really
You'd fancy it.
Yeah.
But you see, I think if they meet in the final, fair enough. But I think a semi-final, a Manchester semi-final at a Villa Park, right? Or just not Wembley. I just can't. I don't know why, and it's obviously to pay for Wembley, but and it's probably paid for, I don't know how many times over. But they need to go back. There's an argument to be had about this FA Cup on loads of different levels, and one of them is definitely the location of the semi-finals. Look, we have to go down to the other end of the table because we've only about 15 minutes left. Joe.
This is where I come into my own, lads.
This is where you come into your own. This is where the lights on stage switch directly onto you and we just grill you for 15 minutes. But, Joe, I don't know what to make at the bottom of this table, because Southampton go away and win at Chelsea. Right?
Yep.
Junior Firpo was scoring goals for Leeds. Okay? Everton go and beat Arsenal and beat you. And then other than that, they've been appalling. Okay, Wolves have started to take off a little bit. Forest have taken off a bit. Leicester have taken off a bit. It's fairly obvious that you're going to get fits and starts from different teams, but I don't know who down there, Joe, is going to put 3 wins and 5 together. I just cannot see it from any of them at the minute. Where do you sit? How nervous are you?
Do you know what? I was bricking it prior to the manager being sacked. Never big on Jesse. Yeah, I was glad to see the back of him.
Yeah.
But Javi Gracia coming in, decent record at Watford. Obviously,
was it a surprise for you? Because I've seen you, like, you were, I'm going to be honest, Joe, every day for about a week you had a different manager that you had your heart set on.
So I wanted either Rafa or Nuno, because I was just like, right, they'll show us up. But yeah, Javi Gracia sort of came out of nowhere, but I mean, some of the managers that we were linked with were quite laughable. The club, the board, have just dealt with it so poorly. So when Gracia came in, it was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, this is good. It's a manager that has a bit of a track record going into clubs that are in turmoil and doing pretty well. Having actually seen the way he's set about improving Leeds in just 2 games in terms of the defensive aspects. We've conceded 0.6 XG. Even the game against Fulham in the FA Cup, they were the 2 goals that were scored, one by Polina and that Solomon. They were worldies in a sense, really. And other than that, they didn't really have any big chances. Obviously, we beat Southampton. That was our first win in 10. And I'm actually confident now, Gav, that Leeds will be all right. I seen Everton. Yeah, they beat us. But like I say, we didn't even have a manager in at that point. They were woeful against Arsenal last night. And it's not great for confidence. I know they were going to the Emirates, but they look shaky. Southampton are done. Obviously, they get the Boyd result by beating Chelsea, like you mentioned. And then since then, they've been beaten by Leeds and Grimsby. So I think they're down. I still think Forest are well in the mix. And this weekend's game between Everton and Forest is massive.
Huge.
It's huge. I know I'm jumping ahead, but that, obviously, Man United, Liverpool aside, that game at 2:00 Sunday, I'll have all eyes on because it's massive for the relegation situation. And listen, Leeds have got Chelsea, and form Chelsea are in 6 goals since November. they're in dire form. I want at least a point. Really. I mean, I think we beat them 3-0 at Ellen Road. If we did the double over them, it's first time since 91, 92. So, and again, they're rivals of ours, Chelsea. It dates back to the 70s. So, give me, 3 points against them at their place. And honestly, I would start to think, you know what, we're going to be all right. The one thing I will say for Leeds, Gav, our last 4 games are City, possibly Liverpool, Tottenham and West Ham, not in that order, but our last month is brutal. So we need to be safe prior to the last 4 games. Might not be Liverpool, actually.
Your last 4 are City away, Newcastle at home, West Ham away, Tottenham at home.
Sorry. Yeah, there
so
you go.
There's all teams with stuff to play for there. And
massive.
Emma in the chat mentions, Everton. And he reckons that they're relegation further because their running is absolutely desperate. Like when you look at Everton and just quickly looking at, because I looked at it the other day, and I always do kind of look at fixture lists and where can they pick something up, especially when they're going through a bad period. Can they get something here? Maybe just holds it off a little bit, and then they might grab something. But when you look at Everton, right, they're away to Forest, right, which is like you said is huge. They're at home to Brentford, away to Chelsea, home to Spurs, away to United, home to Fulham, away to Palace, home to Newcastle, away to Leicester, away to Brighton, home to Man City, away to Wolves, home to Bournemouth on the last day. So when you look at the teams that are in there, they literally all have something to play for, because even when you look at Palace and Leicester in that run, they're right now are on the edge of could be dragged back into it.
Yeah,
you look at, like, there's no point in talking about Chelsea United, Liverpool, or Chelsea United, the likes of Spurs, Newcastle. They're all chasing. We know what they're chasing. Fulham, Brighton, both still looking at possible European places. Whereas in years gone by, you go, they have Fulham and Brighton, they'll be fine. Because Fulham and Brighton are in that area of the league where it's kind of nothing's really happening at that time.
When everyone's on the beach, don't they? They're on the beach.
There's so many teams there. Like, there's not a team I can see there where you go, they have nothing to play for, except maybe Bournemouth on the last day of the season. But that could be too late. Kevin, the relegation thing, I genuinely always look for a team that might pick something up here, and they're showing signs, but Everton can't score goals. They've literally 4 defenders, they've 5 midfielders that have no interest in attacking, and they've a guy up front that, like, was genuinely one of the main reasons why Brighton didn't win a lot of football games, because he can't put the ball in the net. Is it a massive worry here for Everton? Is that the one you look at and you go, they are in major trouble?
Do you know what? Before you just told me that fixture running, I would have said no. Especially because Sean Dyche, I have way too much faith and love, to be honest, for that man. Like, I think he's incredible. So I did think they were fine. But saying that, after that running, they may really, really struggle. I personally think there are 2 that are gone. I think Bournemouth are gone, and I think Southampton are gone. And then I think it's between. I honestly think it's between Leeds and Everton for the 3rd. I think Forest recruited really well in January, and I think in the form table they're like 7th or 8th. They've really picked up in recent weeks. I think West Ham personally are just way too good for it. I think they've got way too much quality, and I think eventually, whether they get rid of Moyes or Moyes figures it out, they'll find some tune at some point. And I think Lopetegui at Wolves is just, I cannot believe they've ended up with him. And some of the signings they've made. So I really think it's between Leeds and Everton. And if we're hearing that running, then I would probably back Leeds, because as much as I don't like Leeds, I do like quite a few of the players.
They seem to have more options.
Yeah,
like, when you look at because when you look at Leeds,
Adams,
there's options there where you say he can attack, he can get you a goal, he can create something. Whereas Everton just look like 4-5-1, and literally 9 of them 10 I've mentioned have no interest in trying to score a goal.
I agree to an extent, but there are some of the players I look at and go, like, what's going on with them? Because Bamford, I don't know what's happened with him, where his goals have gone. Rodrigo seems to be a really hot and cold player, where he's either scoring every game or
he's injured at the minute.
Yeah, it has been injuries as well. Yeah, but he's really been on and off. The one player I'm a fan of at Leeds in terms of going forwards is Gnonto. He looked really good against us both games. I think Somerville as well he's solid. I think that they've definitely got potential. I just worry about how clinical they're going to be. Whereas I think Everton, as much as they don't have maybe those star attacking names, I think they have other ways of scoring goals with set pieces, just bullying teams and just being a massive unit, really, which is what Sean Dyche has done the whole time with Burnley, and he showed he can do it. I do think Leeds will probably be safe out of the two after that running, though, just because, like I said, I think Leeds do have quality. I think McKennie's great. I think Adams has shown his quality. Get on, or if they can get Bamford going. So it's really just a matter of who picks up form where, and if Pavlik Gracia can get form out of them, then I think Leeds will be fine. It's between those two for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you told me Bamford was going to score 5 goals in the next 14 league games, the chances are he's scoring 5 more goals than Neil Maupay. So, and that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. And that's not me being a Liverpool fan, just, talking down at Everton. This is me that speaks to Everton fans and listens to Everton podcasts. Like, one of my favourite podcasts every week is The Blue Room. It's an Everton podcast because it's Dave Downey, it's all the lads on there, and they're so honest in what they say. I listen to any podcast from any club if I know they're being honest, and they're not bullshitting me. And genuinely, when you hear these people talk, they're like, we have no interest in scoring goals. We have Damari Gray, who, albeit, was signed for £1 million, but that was to do with a contract situation. He was near the end of his contract. He's the only guy that has a little bit of cut and trust about him going forward, and he can't get a look in.
Get a look. Yeah,
they're playing Dwight McNeil on one side, and they're playing I think it's Alex Iwobi on the other. Iwobi started out as a winger at Arsenal, but he's not playing as a winger. He's literally playing as a fifth man in a 5-man midfield. James, look. You always see teams that are near the bottom of the league and you hear them saying, there's always 3 worse than us. But this feels a bit like, to me, by Everton, possibly Leeds and possibly West Ham, in my opinion, where these 3 clubs feel like that we just play dead and we'll see who's the most convincing by the end of the season, and one of us gets picked to stay up, because there's not 3 worse than you. This is what you have to realise. There's actually not 3 clubs worse than you in the league at the minute. I think a big side goes down this year. I think Forest will be fine. What way are you taking it?
I think Forest will be fine. I think the home form will keep them up. They've scored a goal in every single game at home except one this season, and they play some big teams at home. Us, you being 2 of them.
Yeah.
But their away record is dreadful. It's so bad.
Yeah, they were here for 4 with West Ham last week, weren't they?
Yeah. I think West Ham will stay up. But I think Leeds will stay up as well. Leeds have got a goal in them. But when I look at Everton and I look at Maupay, I know you say about Maupay, he's terrible. He's rubbish. He just doesn't have that capability to put the ball in the back of the net when it matters. However, I think a player from that Leeds team can step up when Rodrigo's back in action. I think McKennie is a massive plus in that midfield. He strengthens it up. He can bang a long shot in here and there. He was brilliant for Juventus. I think Leeds will be okay. I think Everton are in really big trouble with that fixture list as well.
The fixture list is huge, and like I said, the lads in the Blue Room talk about the fixtures all the time, and they just don't see where they're going to score goals. Like, I get the whole thing about, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he plays, he's big, he's strong, he's mobile, he wins flick-ons, and if you watch when they beat Arsenal, they literally hit diagonals at Calvert-Lewin to win headers on the corner of the box, to get it down to when McNeil or an Iwobi, who puts her in the box, and hopefully the Corey or somebody or Onana are coming into the box and trying to get ahead on it. But when you're playing a 5'8" Neil Maupay, right, who's not the most mobile, he's not the strongest, he's not the most technical, he's not going to run away from you, teams are just eating them up. But at the same time, Everton don't look like they want to go and attack anyway. And I think that's why they're in the most trouble, because you can be as solid as you like, but you still have to score goals to win games, right? And at the moment, they have centre-backs who, for me, Tarkowski's been okay. Cody, no good if he's in the back 4. You've got Mina, who just seems to be injured every second week. You've got Michael Keane, that is obviously not fancied. He brings Holgate on and puts him into the midfield against Arsenal. So there's a lot of lack of trust, I think, there, lack of ability, and just not available enough. There's just so many problems there for them. and they're not getting a goal. Whereas I look at Leeds, I agree with you all. I look at Leeds and I think to myself, Ganonto, Somerville, really like Aronson, isn't it? I really like him as a player. All right, Bamford struggles with injury, but I swear to God, if he scores 5 between now and the end of the season, he scores 5 more than Neil Maupay, right? Or 4 more, genuinely. So 5 goals is huge at the bottom. If you can get a striker to score 5 and 12, it's huge at the end of the season. So I just think it's hard. Joe, you have Chelsea the weekend. We're going to finish up now. But Joe, Chelsea the weekend. What would you like? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I've had to bite my lip there listening to everyone talk about that. I know we need to finish up. I'll guarantee, that Leeds are going to finish about 15th. Leeds will finish about 15th. Forest will be down there. Trust and believe.
Hold on.
Leeds,
Hold on.
They will.
Bite your lip. None of us said Leeds were going down.
No, I know that. I know. I'm just saying I'm being bullish, yeah?
Okay. I thought you said you were being bullied there. Thank God.
No. I wanted to jump in. Forest are 16th in the form league, by the way, over the last 5 games, and they have issues at centre back, and they cannot register anymore. Yes, their home form's okay, but they'll be down there. Everton probably go down for me for all the things you've mentioned. Even when they beat Leeds United, they were rubbish, but we were just rubbish as well. But we didn't have a manager in. Javi Gracia gets a tune out of these boys. I'd go as far as to say we probably get 3 points at the weekend. But, I'll take a point. I'll take a point at Chelsea.
I'm not letting you pick 2 results. Give me a result. What's your prediction?
2-0 Leeds.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, what time is that on at the Saturday? Is Saturday 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock, Rutter. Don't forget this as well, guys. I know, obviously, Rutter, Jorginho Rutter, record signing from Hoffenheim. Didn't get much game time, obviously, due to the World Cup break and Germany not coming back, but he's starting to find his feet now and played well against Fulham. He will be the man that will score them 5 goals that you mentioned. I think him and Bamford start as a 2 at the weekend, and Leeds United win 2-0.
Nice. I'm in Liverpool the weekend, so I might find myself a quiet spot to watch Chelsea v Leeds after that prediction. James, City at the weekend.
Newcastle at home. Got to win.
And I think Newcastle are nothing against them. I think they're starting to slide a little bit, and that's fair because I think the size of the squad is probably haunting them a little bit. But what way do you see that going the weekend for City?
We've got to win. I think we will. But don't rule Newcastle out. If they score first, it's going to be an interesting game. I think St. Maximin turns into prime George Best when he plays against us. He really enjoys it. And I think we'll get the win though. But it's going to be tight. I'll say 2-1.
Okay, 2-1. Kevin, I've left you last because
you
did. How do you see the weekend going?
I think it's going to be a really good game, or it's going to be an absolutely awful one. It's going to be one of the 2. I think Liverpool look better. I think obviously we're on a good run, but we haven't played our best football, and we notoriously always have a hard game at Anfield. I like to say we'd win purely just off momentum and how inconsistent you are. I do think our midfield is just levels ahead in terms of what you've currently got available and what we do. And as it's shown in previous weeks, that our midfield has really been winning us games. So I'll say we'll win. I think it'll be a 1-0. I don't think it'll be very eventful. But yeah, I think we'll win 1-0.
I think it's going to be a really entertaining game at Anfield. I'm at it at the weekend. And I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. I think Liverpool have been a little bit better. Real Madrid aside, because that was just ridiculous. But league-wise, 4 clean sheets in a row in the league, 10 points out of 12. And they have been better. And even, Wolves, okay, not the best team in the league. But the other night, I know, especially second half, Liverpool started to do Liverpool sort of things.
Jota, Gav. Jota.
Jota back is a big thing, but Liverpool were starting to do things where they weren't giving Wolves a sniff. They were closing the door all the time on Wolves, were looking more threatening. And then when it got to 60 and 65, you could see Liverpool building the pressure, and then they get the goal. Well, they have disallowed goal, then they get a goal, then they get another one, and it was like, this is a bit more like it. I think they feel a bit more settled at centre back with Kanate and Van Dijk there. I think Robertson will come in, even though Tsimikas played really well the other night. Trent looked a bit back to himself, but that's only a one game. He's not been great this season. Hands up, he hasn't. A lot of them haven't. In midfield, though, it's interesting because you'll probably see United go in with Casemiro.
It'll be Casemiro, Fred, and Bruno. It'll be those three.
Yeah. So, but Liverpool will probably go in there with, I think Fabinho might play again. Bajcetic is a brilliant footballer. Like, genuinely watch for him. Because
he loves a booking, though, doesn't he?
What?
He loves a booking.
Oh, yeah. No, he's absolutely no issue with smashing into anybody. And I'm all for it. I was actually quite harsh the other night, the one he got. But it's up front, and Joe's mentioned it. Núñez is a constant threat. Salah, if you get him in the right mood, you know how good he is. Gakpo's starting to show for Liverpool a little bit. Jota is back, Firmino's back fit, so they've more options there all the time. I think it's going to be a really interesting game and an entertaining game for the reasons being, I think Liverpool are better at the back, but I don't think they're completely solid. And I think United are the same. I think in midfield, yes, I think Casemiro's in great form and he's just a brilliant player. I think this could be a game where Liverpool's fans really get after United, and it could, one of those where it's just ready to explode any time. I think there's more on this for Liverpool than United, because I think if United were to lose this, you kind of go, yeah, they're on a great run of form. They're not going to let it affect them, because at the end of the day, they're only a season into a rebuild when you think about it, and they have that kind of breathing room in the top four, which is fine. I think if Liverpool lose it, I think you're looking going, every time we take a step forward and try to get near this top four, we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. And if we were to win, I think we get within 3 points of Spurs, I think. Top four, and I'd fancy us in a run-in against Spurs, because Spurs are mad. So I think Liverpool win it. I think Liverpool win it 2-1. I think Liverpool might score first. I think United will equalise and Liverpool will make it 2-1.
I just think it reeks of being one of those games where there's
absolutely reek of.
I think it's just there's so much on the line for both, because like the boys said earlier, like our title race is kind of verging on the line of what happens. Obviously, your top four race is probably near the same.
Yes,
and I think it reeks of so much being on the line, and I think we've got a lot of confidence, and I don't think a lot of your players have loads. And I think it kind of reeks of it where we might let you have quite a bit of the ball. We'll sit there, defend, counter you with Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Bruno, and it could end up just being a 1-0, 0-0. But I'd love an entertaining game. So.
Yeah, well, it better be. I'm going over, so it better be. But it won't be as entertaining as Chelsea v Leeds. Just to let people know, because Joe's made that massive call early on.
I felt like you sort of like made me into a film. I was like, I have to defend Leeds here.
Yeah. And like nobody said anything bad about Leeds other than they're staying up. And Joe went, "Well, I'm biting me lip for the last 5 minutes." You literally turned into Kev Keegan for no reason. But look, that has been Bookmakers TV. It has been the Premier League preview show. I'd like to thank Kevin, James and Joe for joining me. I've been Gav from the LFC Day Trippers. Go and check out the lads. Their ads are on the screen. You can't miss them. Go and check them out on Twitter, and from there you will find their YouTube and whatever else they're doing. I'd say Joe loves the TikTok, to be honest with you, but I could be wrong. You do, don't you, Joe? Yeah, he does. He loves that TikTok. But look, that has been it. We will be back with you next week for another edition of this. It could be the same lads. It could be different lads. We're trying to build up a little team of people where we can have a change around every week and chat around Premier League. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.